welcome to Albert Park here in Melbourne for the Australian Grand Prix. The circuit itself is set in the middle of this beautiful park, surrounded by trees and encircling the central lake. Although only first used a year ago, the drivers seem to like the circuit. The blend of relatively fast straights and quick corners over its 3.3-mile length make for an exciting race. Hello and welcome to the Brazilian Grand Prix 1997, here at the Autodromo José Carlos Pache in Interlagos. The track here has a reputation for being fast, bumpy and difficult, although there are good overtaking opportunities with that long back straight. Usually we see some fine weather here, although 1996 was an exception when Damon Hill dominated the race from start to finish despite the rain. Welcome to Buenos Aires and the Autodromo Oscar Alfredo Galvez for this year's Argentine Grand Prix. Neither the drivers nor the teams particularly like the track. They find it difficult to get to grips with its narrow, twisty 2.6 miles. This was highlighted last year when there were several accidents. Welcome to the Autodromo Enzo e Dino Ferrari, named in honour of the father and son who founded probably the most famous sports car manufacturers in the world and home of the San Marino Grand Prix. This circuit is set in some of the most beautiful Italian countryside, and it's got perhaps the most passionate crowd of any in the Grand Prix calendar. However, since the introduction of the new chicanes for safety reasons, it's really become less of a driver's circuit. This is picturesque Monaco in Monte Carlo, the most famous Grand Prix of the motor racing season, and jewel in the crown of Formula One. The atmosphere here is incredible, but often the narrow, twisty course and the lack of overtaking opportunities can make the race itself a bit of a foregone conclusion. But this was emphatically not the case last year. Drama seemed to follow drama. Schumacher going out on the first lap, Hill and Alesi both taking the lead and then retiring, and then Olivier Panis coming out the eventual, well-deserved winner. Let's hope today's race will be just as eventful. The Circuit de Catalunya here in Barcelona is the scene for the Spanish Grand Prix 1997. This is quite a challenging course, just under 3 miles, a good mixture of bends and a long start and finish straight for overtaking. And that's unusual for a modern circuit. Michael Schumacher, no doubt, will be hoping to reproduce his win here in '96, when the rain caused so many problems for most of the field, but not for him. Welcome to the Canadian Grand Prix here in Montreal, at the circuit named after the great Canadian driver Gilles Villeneuve. You'd never imagine that the circuit here, next to the Olympic rowing basin and the St. Lawrence River, was put together especially for the race each year, apart from the barriers which are close into the track and can catch out the unwary. The chicanes, which break up its long straights, make this technically quite a tough race, but last year Damon Hill made it look easy by winning from pole position to checkered flag. The Canadian fans had to settle for a second place for their countrymen. This is Magny Cours at Nevers, where we're about to see the French Grand Prix. The track here has only been in use since 1991, and to be honest, it's not much liked, although it is the home of the French Grand Prix. It's a track that teams find very difficult to set a car up for. It's very smooth and it's got quite a strange selection of corners, especially the extremely tight bend into the starting straight. In 1996, this was the scene of yet another Hill victory after he took over the lead early on from Michael Schumacher He retired with engine trouble. Welcome to Silverstone, the home of the British Grand Prix. This year, the familiar 3.2-mile circuit here in Northamptonshire has had another facelift, although the changes which Damon Hill had a hand in will hopefully make this an even more exciting race. The most dramatic change is the flattening of Copse Corner to make it faster, so we should see some overtaking there. Back in 1995, Johnny Herbert had a marvellous win in front of the home crowd. Let's hope one of the British drivers will be standing on top of the podium today. Welcome to the German Grand Prix, due to start in just a few moments here at Hockenheim. The problems the teams face with this track is just how to set the car up. It's got long straights where the cars can top 200 miles an hour, and that calls for a low downforce wing setup for minimum drag. But it also has very tight first gear chicanes, and they call for a high downforce setup to give them the grip they need. Last year, Gerhard Berger narrowly missed out on a win when he had an engine problem. So I'm sure he'll be going all out for revenge this year. Welcome to the Hungarian Grand Prix, here at the Hungaroring in Budapest. This 2.5-mile circuit close to the beautiful and historic city of Budapest is one of the tightest in the championship. Teams have to set their cars up for very high downforce to get grip on its bends. Even so, the drivers have to be right at their best to avoid sliding out of the race. Good grid positions are absolutely essential because passing is almost impossible. Welcome to the beautiful Spa-Francorchamps circuit for the Belgian Grand Prix. This is without doubt the best road track in the world. It has everything. 4.3 miles long, straights, fast open corners, a tight chicane, and the legendary daunting Eau Rouge. The scenery is just as spectacular, and there are loads of good vantage points. Spa is a real favourite for Michael Schumacher. He won here last year, and it's where he made his debut in 1991 and where he won his first victory a year later. This is historic Monza, where we're about to see the Italian Grand Prix. The atmosphere here in Italy is electric as the tifosi cheer on their beloved Ferraris to what they hope will be victory. Like many other circuits, it's been broken up by chicanes to reduce speeds and increase safety, meaning that getting the balance between speed and grip right is vital. In 1996, Michael Schumacher gave the crowd exactly what they wanted. A Ferrari win, and he'll be hoping to do it again. Hello and welcome to Austria. The A1 ring here in Zeltweg is the scene of this year's Austrian Grand Prix. This is a virtually new circuit, for the first Grand Prix to be held in Austria for 10 years. In 1987, the race was held at the Österreich-Ring, famous for its fast open curves. But they've dramatically changed it to one of 2.7 miles of tight bends and short straights. The mountain scenery, though, is absolutely magnificent. This is the Luxembourg Grand Prix, here at the familiar Nürburgring, scene of last year's European Grand Prix. German racing fans are delighted to have a second Grand Prix in their country again this year, and they're hoping for a win from their national hero, Michael Schumacher, who lost out last year to his young Canadian rival. They'd like to see their new hero, Heinz-Harald Frentzen, win too. Drivers seem to like this 2.8-mile circuit, even though the flow's broken up by the final chicane. Welcome to Suzuka for the Japanese Grand Prix. Both the drivers and the fanatical fans in Japan really like this circuit, the scene of last year's climax to the season, when the battle for supremacy was settled between Damon Hill and his young teammate. It really brings out the best in the driver, with a superb variety of corners, apart perhaps from the final chicane, which has been the nemesis of many a racer. Welcome to the Portuguese Grand Prix here at Estoril. This is a very demanding course. It's one that's a favourite testing ground with many of the teams. That means, of course, that the drivers know its 2.7 miles very well. But even so, corners like the new uphill chicane and the final parabolica can give them some problems. 1996 saw the third Williams victory there in 3 years, and that's a record Frank Williams is going to be very eager to maintain. Welcome to Jerez for today's Grand Prix. Jerez in Spain has been the scene of some truly exciting races, notably that when Ayrton Senna in his Lotus practically dead-heated with Nigel Mansell's Williams. Strangely, it seldom seems to attract a big crowd, but the teams and the drivers are happy to face its twists and turns.